This week on The Splash, Henry Ford mandates its staff be vaccinated. West Bloomfield residents head out to the Ann Arbor Art Show. And we take a look at renovations at many of our local schools. The Splash is a production of Civic Center TV. We're a news magazine that covers everything from local news to feature stories, all so that we can bring you the latest from the greater West Bloomfield area. And now, let's dive into The Splash.
Welcome to The Splash. I'm Brooke Allen. Henry Ford Health System declares COVID-19 vaccines mandatory for all staff members. And reporter Jay Kustash checks in with Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital to see how this new policy will affect our community.
While the pandemic may have slowed down, there's still a lot more that can be done, which is why Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital is requiring staff to get vaccinated.
We've really spent the last 10 days very deeply involved in conversation with our team members. I would say we've got, keep in mind, we've got almost 70% of our folks who already are vaccinated. And so for many of those folks, I've had many people say, thank you. It's about time. Why did it take so long? This is what they wanted to see because they know that they're going to be better protected in their workplace. At the end of the day, this is about one thing. It's about keeping our team members safe. And we know that this vaccine will do that. And so that's why we've gone down the path of making it a condition of employment going forward.
Cases are low, which is great, but growing concern over variants and plateauing vaccine rates is why more needs to be done.
Across the entire Henry Ford Health System, we only had 12 COVID patients. And so it has really been good that the incidence within our community has decreased significantly. It's always a concern that the longer that we don't get to a place where we have high vaccination rates across the country and frankly even across the world, that there are going to be newer and newer variants that emerge. We wouldn't have gone down this path if we didn't absolutely know that these vaccines were safe. Even our own healthcare system, we've given over 350,000 vaccinations to folks in Southeast Michigan, including our own team members. And we've looked at the complication rates for every single one of those folks. People who have an adverse reaction, which is something that actually they need to seek treatment, go to their doctor, go to their emergency room, is 0.09% of the folks that Henry Ford is vaccinated. They are exceptionally safe.
Eric understands some people may not like this decision, but he's hoping it will attract new employees for the future at Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital.
That have applied in that first 10 days because we did mandate the vaccine and they want to work in a place where they know they're going to be safe. And again, we've also had conversations with some of our team members that say, I'm not going to be staying. I don't know on the balance that it's going to make things dramatically different for us. The labor market at this moment is exceptionally challenging. And there's no doubt about that. And I think in spite of that, we felt convicted that this was the right thing to do to keep our folks safe. And I think one of the really cool things is we are actually next week going to be starting our growth phase. And so you'll see if you come to the campus starting next week that we're going to be doing a little construction. And we're actually going to be start the construction of a parking structure here on the campus. It's the first one in West Bloomfield Township. So we're really excited to be in that phase. It's great to know that so many people want to come here that we've been running out of parking.
Reporting for The Splash, I'm Jay Kustash.
You can find more information on our website at civiccentertv.com/Henry Ford Vaccine Mandate. Artists and attendees travel to Ann Arbor, Michigan every summer for the nation's largest juried art show. Reporter Erica Jones stopped by for an inside look at some of this year's artwork and the inspiration behind it.
Come on in. We're taking a trip to the Ann Arbor Art Fair. Let's go.
Nearly 500,000 attendees from all over travel to Ann Arbor, Michigan every year for the art fair. Whether you have a passion for art or are looking for something to do in the summer, each artist brings a story and expertise that will leave everyone inspired.
As a child, I was a problem child, didn't listen, didn't concentrate. I ended up in an art school and I fell in love with art and it became a career. Everything that I do lately, everything I design has to do with goal achieving. As you see here, my climbers, I call them goal achievers. In my mind, they are achieving goals in life. I concentrate on making pieces that will make people happy. I do not do anything that has to do with death or skulls or anything like that because in my mind, I really want to project that happiness that I have while I make my pieces. I want to project that to the public.
Now let's turn the corner and check in with another artist who's inspired by something that is sure to make people happy: baseball.
I grew up in Detroit, and I was a Tigers fan, and so being a Tigers fan and a baseball fan, you naturally collect baseball cards. But to me, baseball cards were not just representations of the players, they were little works of art. When I started doing these baseball paintings, I was just doing the greatest players and the greatest teams of all of baseball. But then I started realizing that wherever I go, the hometown team is more important than the general baseball subject.
Even in years when the Tigers aren't necessarily playoff contenders, the loyal fan base appreciates art that represents the historically powerful organization.
Baseball fans are baseball fans. They know the history, they know the characters, and they appreciate what I do with them. My little business is called The Fine Art of Baseball, and I think you can interpret that in a number of different ways. And I leave that interpretation open to my customers and my viewers.
From goal achieving to baseball, the variety of art around town is unmatched. These are just two of the nearly 1,000 artists here at the largest juried art fair in the nation. And on top of the great exposure each artist gets, this art fair stands out as a vendor favorite for many reasons.
I'm completely in love with Ann Arbor. This town is beautiful. I've always loved college towns. You just get, amazing culture and food.
I really love the restaurants, actually. So a lot of times we'll pick shows based on food. The show is really well run. I really like the people, and it's a great place to come in the summer.
I've been doing this show on and off for about 6 years. I do really great here. I got a lot of collectors in the area, and I love this show. I just love it.
We'll see you back out here next July.
Reporting for The Splash, I'm Erica Jones.
To know more, you can visit civiccentertv.com/Ann Arbor Art Show 2021. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll tell you about a renovation project taking place right here in our parking lot.
Don't go away. You're watching The Splash on Civic Center TV.
One of the things you can look for in your friends is a change in behavior. These can be big changes, they can be small changes in mood, physical appearance. They may be sleeping less or sleeping more, drinking more, or their eating patterns may be different. One big change that can be pretty obvious is change in motivation. Do they no longer want to play basketball? Do they no longer want to play video games? Now that we're spending more time online and in virtual settings, it's really important to pay attention to the language that your friend is using and the words they're using to communicate. So when we text our friends, are they taking longer amounts of time to respond? Are they not responding at all? You don't have to be an expert to try to recognize these signs. The second that you feel it in your gut and that you're concerned, that's the second to have the conversation and open the door to what might be going on.
And now, back to The Splash on Civic Center TV.
Welcome back to The Splash. I'm Brooke Allen. Well, if you're stopping by Sheiko Elementary's campus, you better allow yourself a few extra minutes to park next door because this lot is under construction. Reporter Daniel Zivian brings us the story on this summer's parking lot renovation.
As is often the case during summer, West Bloomfield Schools is taking on a much-needed renovation project. Since the end of June, the parking lot at Sheiko Elementary has been torn up, reduced to gravel. The hope is that a new and improved parking lot will allow for easier drop-off and pickup of students starting in the fall.
This vital project is also happening around the Green Media Center, home to 89.3 Lakes FM and Civic Center TV, which is where I work.
Sheiko is not the only school being worked on in the area. Walled Lake Schools is carrying out bond improvements at Walnut Creek Middle School and Pleasant Lake Elementary. West Bloomfield Schools has another larger project at hand, building a state-of-the-art middle school from scratch.
'Tis the season for construction until we don our fall apparel. Reporting for The Splash, I'm Daniel Zivian.
For more, you can visit civiccentertv.com/Sheiko parking lot. It is time to check in with the community on our weekly segment, Testing the Waters. Reporter Erica Jones checks in with our residents to learn about their favorite tunes.
If you're from Michigan, you sure know that some of the greatest musical artists in the world are from right here in Motown. Who's your favorite?
Eminem, hands down, by a landslide. I love him.
Madonna, because she's absolutely a classic and just honestly an icon in every way.
I'd have to say Lizzo.
I'm gonna say Eminem because he was a childhood favorite of mine in middle school and high school.
I love Aretha Franklin. Definitely Bob Seger.
The Supremes and Jack White.
Stevie Wonder, because the music is a classic and it helps me relax and just get in the mood to take a nap because it's just so wonderful.
I love her personality and the music's really great and she's super funny.
When I was growing up, Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band, we would, go to DTE and just a lot of good memories.
My little sister is a jazz singer and she likes to sing downtown at Aretha's Cafe in Detroit. So that's always really fun.
Well, I have a ton of new music to add to my Apple Music library. Reporting for The Splash, I'm Erica Jones.
We're going to take a short break, but when we return, I'll sit down with 2014 West Bloomfield High School graduate and current Michigan State University Medical School student to talk about her experience preparing for med school during the pandemic.
Don't go away. You're watching The Splash on Civic Center TV.
Can I ask you a question? Why did you get your kids vaccinated?
It was hard for them to social distance, to be isolated from their friends.
I want them to get back to school and sports games. So as a pediatrician, I recommend the vaccine to everyone I know.
The boys lost a former teammate and classmate who was only 20 years old. It's been a devastating year.
We want to get back to normalcy. Our daughter is really looking forward to being with her friends, being a kid.
And now, back to The Splash on Civic Center TV.
Welcome back to The Splash. I'm Brooke Allen, and this week I'm joined by Ariel Emmer. Ariel is a West Bloomfield High School and Michigan State University undergraduate alumna who recently began her career as a medical student at Michigan State University, and now she joins me to talk about her experience preparing for this new chapter of her life during the pandemic. And Ariel, thanks so much for being with us. You're a medical student, and to be going through a pandemic and just starting your career in the medical field, how do you feel?
It's definitely thrown in some curveballs. I was a student before, just during undergrad with the pandemic, and that to now is kind of similar. However, now being a medical student, I'm able to relate a lot more of what I'm learning to the pandemic. One of my classes is epidemiology and biostatistics. So the professors have been relating a lot of that material to COVID, which has been nice to be able to put it into a real applicable case scenario.
Because otherwise you may not, you would understand it, but you're really living it now. So that makes all the difference, probably.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Definitely makes it easier to understand.
So tell me, what has it been like? You took some time off, right? You were in Colorado?
Yes.
For a while, and then really got your groove there, and now you're back, and you've been in school already for what, a month, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, a little over a month.
So how is it for you? Is it exciting? Is it grueling? Is it a little bit of everything, or how are you feeling?
A little bit of everything. It's definitely solidified that I want to do this for the rest of my life and I'm in the right field. It is a lot of work, a lot of time, studying, and I'll usually have a class in the morning at 8 a.m. and then I'll be studying until about 10. This summer semester is supposed to ease us into medical school by only having 3 classes, but it's just as hard, and it's kind of like any other summer course that it's the same amount of information, but just in a shorter amount of time. So the whole easing us into medical school thing, I don't really think that
don't agree?
It wasn't as eased in, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you are, okay, so you've already started and everything will kick in, but you are at the downtown campus, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you're not in East Lansing and you are actually studying and attached to the DMC. So that even makes it different for you.
Yeah, so the 3 different campuses are the DMC Detroit campus, Macomb, and East Lansing. And because we're located actually in a hospital in Detroit, we have to follow the hospital COVID policies, where East Lansing and Macomb are not located in the hospital and they don't. So for labs, which is right now the only reason that we have to go into into the actual location, we still have to wear masks and still have to do hand washing and all of that.
And you were even doing COVID testing, correct?
Yes, for a few weeks it was mandatory, and then the last, I think it was either 2 or 3 weeks, it's now voluntary that you have to do it, or that you can do it.
So tell me what you feel like. I mean, does this pandemic scare you at all? Or, I mean, from the medical standpoint, how are you feeling about it?
It's definitely scary in the fact that no one really thought with how we have medicine today that this could happen, and now it's clearly shown that it can. I think at the beginning, obviously, it was very scary, not knowing what it was, how to deal with it, how to treat it. Now that we have more of it understood, as long as the biggest issue in general with like COVID is not knowing how to, or just pandemics and different type of diseases, is not knowing how to treat it and not having the resources to treat it. And at this stage, as long as hospitals don't get overrun and we still have the necessary equipment to keep treating those cases, I don't think it's going to be any scarier than it was at the start of it.
So you will be graduating from medical school in 2025, right?
Yes.
Is that the year? Okay. So tell me, do you think that this pandemic will have made you a better doctor in 2025? Or how do you think it's going to have affected you personally?
I think it definitely will have an effect on how things are treated going further. I think that could be related not just to medicine, but to everything. Like how businesses are run, I think it'll be very different. However, for medicine, the entire pandemic never made me shy away from medicine. It made me more interested in it, and especially being able to educate people, because I think a big reason of why people are so scared of it or don't believe in it, don't believe in the vaccine, is because of their lack of education. And so I think that being able to be a healthcare provider that is able to properly educate patients, being a pandemic or just whatever they came in for me to treat, I'll be able to be better at educating.
Do you have any idea? You do not know what specialty you'll be going in, correct?
No, we do not decide until halfway through our third year. I do have some ideas. I definitely know I want to specialize, but I'm trying to stay very open and keep my options open for what I would like to do.
So if you could tell people one thing about the medical field from your perspective, since you're just kind of starting out, what would it be?
With any profession, there's obviously going to be people that are bad, but for the most part, doctors and medicine, we know what we're doing and we know what's going on, and to trust us. That there are, like I said, medicine has been going on for a long time. It's obviously ever changing, but trust doctors. Then I hope that this hasn't made people untrust doctors, because I know for a while, at like the height of all of COVID, my cousin is an ERPA, ER physician assistant, and she noticed a very low number of people coming into the ER, obviously because they were scared of COVID, but the amount of death from just a heart attack, or if someone had fallen and different things like that, had risen a lot because people weren't going to seek medical attention. Part of it was being scared of COVID, but also people were like, the doctors don't know what's going on. I'm not going to trust them. I'm not going to go do all of that, but continue to trust the doctors.
And continue to go to ER if you need to, correct?
Yes, and seek medical attention when it's needed.
Right. Well, excellent. Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure to speak to you. Good luck to you. And, I look forward to hearing everything that you're doing and what you finally decide on specializing in when you graduate in 2025.
Thank you. It was great talking to you too.
So thank you. We have been joined by Ariel Emmer. We are going to take one final break, and when we return, spotlight someone who has recently completed a project to make our community a better place.
Don't go away. You're watching The Splash on Civic Center TV.
I'll be seeing you in all of our favorite places, with laughter and warm embraces all day through. the park where we play, the stoop across the way, that favorite cookie smell, and Big Bird's tree we love so well. I'll be seeing you. I'll be seeing you.
I love you too.
With free COVID-19 vaccines, sunnier days are ahead. Visit getvaccineanswers.org.
I'll be seeing you.
And now, back to The Splash on Civic Center TV.
Welcome back to The Splash. I'm Brooke Allen. Now it's time for our final segment, Person of the Week. This is where we highlight special people in our community who are inspiring and providing toward others. And this week's recipient is Drew Burke, a Boy Scout and West Bloomfield High School student who has dedicated countless hours toward a goal to help conserve wildlife throughout our community parks. Drew has been an active Boy Scout since 4th grade and recently received the highest ranking Eagle Scout. He started out in BSA Cub Scout Pack 100 and joined Troop 170 as he started his career at Abbott Middle School. He is currently a member of Troop 54 and a BSA Honor Society, the Order of the Arrow. And throughout the past year, Drew became a Life Scout with Troop 54 and began his Eagle Scout service project, West Bloomfield Bird Conservation. He designed, built, and installed 10 birdhouses on Loop B of the West Bloomfield Civic Center Park. And to fund this project, he raised $770 through a bottle and can drive and received a generous donation from Meyer. He started off by making 3 birdhouse prototypes. He worked with a naturalist, Annabelle Rains, who ultimately approved which house was best fit for the trails. And this past January, he led several members of his troop in installing the birdhouses. Following the installation, he took his project to the next level by adding custom engraved signs to the post. And these signs both announce the project and dedicate his work to his grandfather, who was a bird watcher, nature lover, and woodworker. Drew had his Eagle Scout Board review on March 3rd, where he officially earned his rank. Drew's hard work to achieve his Eagle Scout honor and dedication to preserving wildlife throughout our local parks is what makes him our Person of the Week. If you know someone who is making a positive difference, let us know. Message us on social media with any and all suggestions, because we want to congratulate and acknowledge those making a difference in our community. That's it for this week's show. You can watch new episodes anytime online and HD at civiccentertv.com. Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. Civic Center TV on Comcast 15 and AT&T Channel 99. And follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Civic Center TV. You can also listen to me weekdays from 10 a.m. to 2 on WWJ News Radio 950 and also online on the Odyssey app. That's it for all our friends in Sylvan Lake, Orchard Lake, Keego Harbor, and West Bloomfield. I'm Brooke Allen.